You guys in person.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
All right, go ahead. Question.
Fire away.
Yeah, what's your progress report the last week or so since we talked? And how's it been going with your guys?
Yeah, just steady. The attitude's been great. In the spring, we throw a lot of stuff at guys, our whole offense, and then some. When we go into a game, we'll probably do about a quarter of what we've installed now. So guys are really handling it well. I've been really impressed with guys, the way they're studying off the field, and daily improvement. You know, we talk about we want guys to constantly strive for just getting better each one day at a time, and we see that at really all position groups on offense.
How's Will Nixon done? He's a guy a lot of people are interested in because he didn't play last year. How's he adjusted and kind of getting out there?
Yeah, getting better every day with every rep. Hasn't missed a rep, so he's 100% from the injury. He's another first-year player because he had to sit out. So he's just going to keep getting better with experience. And we're asking him to do a lot, and he's handling it really well.
What's your overall satisfaction level with the wide receiver group and the way that they've performed these first couple weeks?
Happy with them. You know, we're a work in progress. A lot of improvement. Last year, we played a ton of first-year players. So that's a huge difference. Everyone, like an Oliver Martin, a Levi Falk, and Alante, a Betts, and Omar, all those guys of their first year. So there was a lot of thinking. Now those guys are feeling a lot more confident because they understand the offense. They're playing faster, and they've made plays. And the quarterbacks are throwing some really good balls. I'm really happy with the way our quarterbacks have improved their accuracy. And as a coach, it's been fun to watch.
Alante's had some good things said about him by his teammates. Alante
I missed that. Alante Brown.
Yeah, what have you seen from him?
Leadership. You know, he's only a sophomore, but he's taking it a step in direction by example and playing really hard. He was a high school running back / quarterback, so receivers all new to him. He's starting to play like a receiver, a lot more detailed and technical about his routes, and he's also a guy that everyone looks up to just because of the way he practices so hard.
With the young quarterbacks, what do you look for in terms of sort of, benchmarks? How can you tell when a guy maybe takes the next step or a next step in the spring like this?
Just consistency. So making good decisions, throwing the ball on time, taking command of the huddle, and especially for the first year guys like Heinrich Harburg, who's doing a great job, and really Logan's taking a lot more reps. It's hard for those guys because they got a lot on their plate, and they're doing a really good job with it.
How's Logan's throwing? Frost mentioned on Monday that he's throwing better. What does that mean when Frost says he's throwing the ball better?
Yeah, well, the comments, he just completed more balls, but accuracy has improved. I think, not just him, but all the quarterbacks and receivers being on the same page, getting a feel when guys are getting out of their breaks, when to release the ball. Our offensive line is doing a better job protecting, which gives those guys time to stand in there and be accurate and throw. But he's playing with more confidence. Same thing, he's a year 2 player, and last year he was kind of learning things. Now he knows things and actually directs people in the right direction and doing a really good job.
The vertical passing game, how much of an emphasis has that been? Guys talked about that.
Yeah.
How do you guys work on that? It's pretty
Yeah, it's something we always emphasize. We want to always stretch the field both vertically and horizontally, make the people defend the whole field. It's the whole offense too. So it's offensive line given protection. It's the quarterback will have confidence stand in there, and the receivers getting open. And we've completed more deep balls than we've completed last spring or even in fall camp, and guys are getting some confidence in that. But it's something we always stress.
When you have guys that in the running back room that miss time because of injury or anything else, how much of a workload does that put on the guys that are healthy? And what have you seen from those guys that have gotten a lot of reps this spring?
Yeah, so when a guy goes down, it's an opportunity for somebody else to step up. So, there's actually a positive side to that. It tested our depth a little bit there, but I've been really happy with how some of the younger guys have stepped up. And it's not just at that position. We've kind of got nothing serious, but nicked up at like typical spring ball at every position, and that's where depth's important, and you need to build that. And the only way you can build that is by having those guys mentally prepared and throwing them on the field and seeing what they can do. And really every position's had, except for the quarterbacks. I don't think they don't get tackled, so they should not miss a practice. But everyone's been dinged up a little bit, and when the next man is up, he's done a heck of a job.
What would define a successful
Yeah. Like all our guys, so he was a first-year player last year that had hardly no reps, because of health issues. Stay healthy, number one, which he has been. He's been a lot more consistent, and just confidence, and you get confidence with reps, and the more times you're out there, and we see that, he's improving every day, and it's been fun to watch.
What does it take for a young running back? I know that's a long way to the season, but for a guy like Gabe, like what is the path for him to, be in line to maybe contribute as a first-year guy?
Well, he's getting a ton of reps, so he's doing a great job. He's one of the more pleasant surprises, and that's, he graduated early, so that's a big commitment for him to get up here early, and so part of it is talent, but the other part of it is knowing your assignment and having some maturity, because if you don't know your assignment, that takes a little bit of work on your own, then the talent doesn't even matter. The other thing with Gabe and all our young guys, they're going to make mistakes. That's part of becoming a better football player, and it takes a little bit of maturity not to let those mistakes get you down, play through those mistakes. And he's really good about that. We want guys to have the attitude, you're going to make a mistake, that's how you learn, next play. Learn from it, don't dwell on it. And a lot of times guys have a hard time doing that. They let the one mistake lead to a second. He's not that way. He's very mature. He'll make a mistake, which we expect, and then he moves on to the next play and goes 100 miles an hour. So I'm really excited what he can do for us in the fall.
From maybe like a play calling specific standpoint, we talked quite a bit late this season about sharing those duties. What do you look for maybe outside of just a player evaluation this time of year that you might use when you're coming up with stuff over the summer?
Yeah, so spring's a great time to evaluate guys, to see what they can do well. Try to fit your system around what guys can do well. And that's what we're doing, and especially some of our new guys. Hey, we got new guys at really all positions. What does this guy do well, and then kind of tailor-make that. At the same time, too, we want to hone in and improve on the things that we thought we did well. And then always, in the off season, we kind of go and study other football teams, and there might be a wrinkle here and there that might make us better. And if we find something that can enhance our style of play, we'll use it. And spring's a good time to experiment with that. But at the end of the day, our whole emphasis for spring football was to get fundamentally better, as a football team, better blockers, better tacklers, and playing hard. And to do that as a coach, sometimes you got to fight, putting in a whole bunch of stuff and letting your guys execute and play.
Experiment with a wrinkle for Cam Taylor-Britt. He mentioned on Monday that he wants some offensive packages.
Well, he can definitely throw. We've messed around with a couple of things. I got to keep those secret, but he can do a lot of things. So that's yet to be determined. But he brings a lot to the table.
You guys have got a lot of newcomers on offense here, offensive line, quarterback, running back, tight end, but you don't really with your freshmen at the receiver spot. Those guys I know bring a lot of size, and that was a focus in recruiting.
Yeah.
What do they have the ability to add when you get into the next phase of your offseason?
Yeah, well, size always helps. When you recruit a skill guy, a receiver, or a tight end, you want the best player possible. And size is a bonus. It's a quarterback's best friend because there's a bigger target, and less room to miss. And it can help you, outfight, make a contested catch, which is a big deal. But really, when we're evaluating guys, it's not necessarily going to be the tallest guy is going to play. It's going to be who's the most consistent. Who can we count on to make plays over and over again on a consistent basis? Who's going to be where they're supposed to be and play with all-out effort? And that trumps size. And so whoever those guys are, those are the guys who are going to be on the field for us.
At receiver, is there an ideal number that you have in mind that you want to get to rotation-wise by the season? Like, do you feel like you have 7, 8? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. It really depends. We want to have as many guys. If we could have 7 or 8 guys we could roll in and out, that's better for the whole team, keeps everybody fresh. But at the same time, we're not going to play 7 or 8 guys if 7 and 8 aren't ready to play. And there's a drop-off. If we have 4 or 5 guys ready to play, then those 4 or 5 guys will be ready. I'm confident that we'll have more than that, and so the more guys that we can have that, are consistent and that we can trust on a play-by-play basis, we'll play those guys.
Is there anyone surprising you? Is there someone that's kind of caught people aren't thinking about that's caught your notice?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to single out anybody. The receiver position is interesting because a lot of those guys were first-year players last year. And so it's just naturally for them to take a step up. Adrian is a guy that's to me, you know, I thought he had a good last year, especially with his completion percentage, and really improved towards the end of the year. He's taken it another level from a leadership standpoint and an accuracy standpoint. And I even think from a fitness standpoint, I always knew he's a good athlete and fast, but he looks even a step faster. And he's throwing balls on time. He's really making the receivers and tight ends and everybody look good, because he's putting the ball where he's supposed to be on a consistent basis. So he's jumped out at me. I mean, Austin Allen's leadership, he's taken that to the next level. And you know, he's a senior. He's probably one of our best players last year, but he is not content with that. I mean, he's taken his practice habits and the will to win, and which rubs off on everybody else, to another level.
What are your thoughts on what Thomas Fedoni can add to the offense?
Sure, you know, he's a guy we're really excited about, that brings speed and size, toughness and intelligence. You know, the tight end might be the hardest position on our offense right now to play, because we ask so much of him. We ask him to be point of attack in the run game, but we also ask him to run all the routes the receiver has to run and be able to split them out. And we throw a lot at those guys, and he's handled it really well. I'm just glad he's here early.
When Adrian talked to us last week, you said he's feeling good physically. When he's throwing it, do you sense more of a zip on his passes than maybe there was in the past or last week?
Yeah, he's always had great zip and arm strength, and you know, I think an NFL arm strength. But the thing that I've noticed is he's taken his accuracy to another step. So and thrown when he has to put touch on the ball, he's put touch on the ball, and that's why we've been able to complete a little more deep balls than we have in the past. So I've been really happy with the way he's throwing the ball. Thanks, guys. Good seeing you in person.
Stay healthy.
Not everybody at once.
Just general, I mean, about halfway through, where do you feel you're at defensively as far as where you want it to be?
I think we're getting close. You know, today was the first red zone day, so we got some of that part of the install done. Most of the base install is in now, just fine tuning things. Getting some young guys a lot of reps. Obviously, the older guys, especially those 6-year guys, have come back and they've had a lot of experience with us, with the system. But it's important to get those young guys some reps. And I think the way that we've got practice structured, those guys are getting a lot of work. And I also want to see some guys with different groups, you know, moving some of the ones around and the twos around, and just seeing how guys work together. But we're getting there. We're about where we should be at this point in spring ball.
How unique is that challenge when you have kind of your established ones, but they have the experience, maybe they don't need the reps as much? Is that, I guess, a different sort of challenge than you typically have in the spring like this?
Yeah, you guys have watched us. We won 3 games last year, so everybody needs reps. But there's guys that, you know, need to play with the ones because they're an ankle away from being a one. So that's the challenge. Just getting the guys. You know, right now I feel like we got the right guys on the bus. Now it's just figuring out what seat they need to get in. So we're changing those groups up. It's been really good to see a lot of young guys get a lot of reps, especially those guys in the back end. Those older guys don't care if they play with the ones or twos. They just love to play football. That's why they came back. So they understand why people are going with different groups. But I think, you know, it's just finding that good mesh of who's supposed to be where, and then who's the next guys we can count on if something happens.
Are there a couple of guys you can think of who maybe because there was no spring ball last year kind of got lost in the shuffle? You guys didn't have a chance to see what they could do, reps, and maybe are showing out more this year?
Yeah, I don't know if, you know, not getting the chance to see what they could do, but I mean, there's guys out there, like one guy like Feldarius Payne comes to mind, right? He comes in, he has a shoulder deal, so he doesn't get a good strength conditioning session. Then spring ball gets canceled on him. You know, then the fall camp is moved back. So, you know, he was a guy that just needed a great summer and winter conditioning, and he needed a big spring ball. So this will be a great year for him. He's been through the program now. He's healthy. You know, he's been in the weight room. He's got a lot of reps this spring. So guys like that, and there's other ones, you know, at that position. Obviously, Blaze Gunnarsson and some of those guys that were injured, and Jamari Butler. Seeing some of these DBs, the young guys play, and some of the defensive linemen. But there's a lot of guys that just, you know, they didn't benefit from no spring ball, no winter conditioning because of injuries and those types of things.
You had a pretty consistent rotation up front on the defensive line by the end of last year to get DeAndre back. Among the guys sort of behind that group, do you think you can add more to that and be comfortable with the number of players?
Yeah, there's just, you know, it's just going to be how many reps can go around right now, but I feel really good. Coach Tuiotti's done a good job with that group. Obviously, we all know, you know, Ben's out, like Coach said, but he came on really strong at the end of the year. You know, Ty Robinson, you know, Casey Rogers, Damian Daniels are all playing well. Mosai Newsome, you know, there's a ton of guys. DeAndre's playing well this spring. He's back. You got the young guys, Nash and Ruquan, and there's a lot of guys. Colton Feast is a guy, you know, that walked on from Utah, Nebraska, that's done an unbelievable job for us. So that group is getting a lot of depth. Now it's just trying to find the happy medium of how many reps to give out. Once we line up for real, how many do you take away from those starters or those next guys in, and just getting the rotation. But I think when you're playing defensive line, you know, in order to play really good football, you need to be fresh. And so the more guys that we have that we can count on, the better that the ones are going to be, and then the better the twos are going to be.
Where would Jordan Riley be?
Yeah, Jordan Riley's a guy that I didn't mention. He's right there. I mean, he's getting reps to the ones and twos right now. You know, like I said, that group's just so deep. It's there's a lot of guys to remember their names, but Jordan's doing a really nice job, and he's been playing up with the ones and twos and rotating in with those guys as well. So, you know, as you guys can see, there's just a lot of guys to get a lot of reps to.
Newsom's a guy that maybe is flowing a little bit under the radar in the defensive back group, but he played right away as a freshman and all that. Where have you seen his growth, I guess, over his time here, and how intense is that cornerback competition?
Yeah, that cornerback competition, you know, not that anybody has a job, nobody's got a job yet, you know, but Cam's play a lot of football. That other job is going to be an interesting one to see. Quentin, you know, he's played reps. He's taken reps in the game. Now he's just got to go up and he's got to take that job. Someone's got to take that job. That job's not going to be given away because of competition. There's been, you know, years past where some jobs have kind of been given away just by, you know, matter of there wasn't a lot there, or you were the oldest guy and there's a bunch of freshmen in the room. That job's not going to be given away. Somebody's going to have to take it. So, you know, you guys got Q, you got Braxton Clark, you got Nadab Joseph. You got a lot of guys all in there fighting for another job.
There's a bunch of guys in that secondary that were hurt all or part of last year. Do you sense sort of a spirit in that group with a bunch of those guys back and helping out this spring?
Yeah, you know, another big piece of that is the guys like Deontay and Markel and Cam just pushing those younger guys. You know, they're not letting those guys slide right now. If they do something wrong or they don't give effort or they don't like what they see, they're letting them know about it. So it's been really good to have those three back there kind of patrolling things for us.
How else have you seen Cam up in particular, up his leadership, his level of play this offseason?
Yeah, well, Cam, you know, he came back because he wants to prove to the world and the Big Ten that, you know, he belongs with the elite corners. And part of that with him was just getting that piece that you're talking about, Mitch. It was just, you know, you have to lead now. If you're going to be one of the best players on the team, you have to be willing to lead. When your best players are also your best leaders, that's when things really start happening. So he's not afraid to use his voice now. He does it in the right way. He starts with the DB room, which is what he should do, and it kind of spreads to the team. The other thing that he brings is he brings a lot of energy. He's like an Energizer Bunny out there. Special teams drills, defensive stuff. He brings a lot of energy to the practice. So when he's out there, everything's better. Yep, JoJo's been limited. He's been banged up a little bit, but hopefully we'll get him back full here for the last couple weeks of practice.
You mentioned Nadab Joseph. I know Travis Fisher was kind of excited about how dialed in he was going into the spring. Do you see some of that, I guess, freak athleticism that sort of made him a big-time recruit? How's he been stacking up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the things that the things he can do with his body are pretty special. The talent he has is special, you know, the length and the size and the speed he has. For him, it was just getting 100% dialed in on not only football but in school and just his day-to-day life, and he's done a really good job of doing those things. I see him up in the office all the time. He's wanting to watch film. He's wanting to learn, but just getting him to know, how do I align, how do I assign, and then go execute. If he can do that, I think the potential is unlimited. Potential is a scary word, but I think there's a lot of potential there.
Cam hinted he wouldn't mind playing some offense maybe. Is that something you wouldn't mind, sharing it with Scott Frost a little bit?
Cam? Cam can definitely, he's talented enough to play offense, especially in the return game. That's kind of an offensive play. But whatever we need to do to help the team, I'm all for. If they need him to come over and carry the ball a couple times or line up at receiver, I'd be all for that. We've done it a lot in the past, Coach and myself together. Sometimes it's D lineman going over there to play fullback and tight end on the goal line package. Sometimes it's a corner going to play, a limited package in offense. But whatever we need to do to help the team, we're all for it.
Hey, open practice on Saturday. What are you guys hoping to show? And keep it a little bit vanilla, knowing that there's going to be 4,000 sets of eyes watching practice.
Yeah, I don't really care who's at practice. I just want to get better. I don't plan on hiding stuff. But with that being said, we're not in the trick 'em phase of football right now. We need to line up and play what we play. Do we pressure a couple times and throw a few things in the mix to keep the offense honest? Absolutely, so do they. But we're not going to sit here and script a different script just because it's open practice.
Do you feel like there's a part of your guys that can feed off of that need to have people back in the stadium? Saturday's kind of a preview of 2 weeks from Saturday when they really start coming back in. How important is that for your players to have that energy?
I don't think they need it. If you can't get excited to play football at this level, you probably shouldn't be here. But will it be nice? Absolutely. Shoot, those guys. We all know that playing at Nebraska, one of the best parts of that is Saturdays, in Memorial Stadium, and those guys got that taken away from them last year a little bit by no fault of their own or anyone else's. So having some people back to watch them will be nice. That spring game should be really nice for them. Those guys love the fans, and it's not. I don't think they get up for the fans. They just love to play for the fans because they know how supportive the people of Nebraska are and the fans of Nebraska are to them. So they just love playing for the fans. But it'll be really nice for them to have people back in the stands.
The NCAA tomorrow is set to reportedly at least end the dead period on June 1st. It's obviously critical for kids to be able to look at campus, but how important is it for you to be able to actually meet some of these guys, get eyes on them, have them potentially in camps and all that?
Yeah, I think that's that's going to be big. I mean, there's the big trust factor right now. Obviously, high school coaches trusting us and us trusting high school coaches. It's important to see, is a guy really 6'5", or is he going to walk in here and be 6'1"? But also just trying to find out what that guy's all about, and can you do it over the phone and Zoom to some degree? But I don't know if you'll ever really figure out what somebody's all about until you shake their hand and put your eyes on them and get a chance to talk with them in person. So I think it's really important for us to get guys to campus. Not only that, but the best thing that Nebraska has to offer is the University of Nebraska and the city of Lincoln. So in order for us to get guys here and show them what this place is all about, that's only going to up the ante in recruiting.
Hey, did you have anybody right here that enrolled early that didn't visit before they committed?
That didn't visit and enrolled early. I'm trying to think who's here. Ruquan's here. Ruquan visited. Randolph Kapai visited. Seth Malcolm visited. I don't think we have anyone on defense that didn't visit that's coming early.
You're still kind of waiting to kind of see some of those guys because they can't even come up here until.
Yeah, no, there's a couple guys coming in May, that didn't visit. Like Wyndon Huhuli from Hawaii, he never visited, so we've never really met him in person. I know Coach Tony had, when he was a young guy, but he hasn't been on campus, and so there's some coming, but I don't think there's any early enrollees right now.
I have one more question. Your players seem to appreciate seems to be a bond. There seems to be sort of a thing on defense that's real. How do you try to connect with players from various disparate backgrounds? I mean, they're not all the same. Some are high-level recruits, some aren't. Some from big cities, some come from small towns. Do you have a method or approach you can use to try to connect with individual players?
No, I don't think it matters where you're from or what your background is. My job is obviously we got to play good defense. We got to win football games. But a piece of college coaching that I love is developing kids into men. And obviously it's not all bubblegum and lollipops out there. Sometimes I lose it a little bit and have to get after people. But I think that those kids all understand that I love them. I love them dearly. I love them like they're my own. When you love somebody, sometimes they got to figure out what size shoes I'm wearing, and sometimes they need a hug. Sometimes they got to hear the truth. But I think they all know how much I love them. And I think that once they really understand how much you love them, that there's nothing you can't say to them, within reason, obviously, and they won't respond to. And then I think once they understand that you really do love them, they can come to you and talk to you about things other than football. And really, when they come and talk to me about football, that's okay. But when they come talk to you about things other than football, problems at home, problems with the girl, problems with whatever they may be having, that's when you know you're really connected with somebody. And like I said, I love the University of Nebraska, and I love these kids, and that will never change. And I think that they understand that.
You're comfortable using that word love to them too. Like they've mentioned that's a word that you use frequently, not your coaching class.
Well, if you really love somebody, you should tell them. You know what I mean? And those kids need to hear it. Like you said, they all come from different backgrounds, and sometimes maybe nobody's told them that before, or not enough. And that's just not the way I'm built.